Hello, and welcome to the Wilderness Park User Experience Master Plan Virtual Open House. We appreciate your interest in the future of Wilderness Park and are excited to share with you the work that has been done and tell you how you can share your thoughts about Wilderness Park. Please view this presentation and look through the materials on the webpage, and as always, feel free to contact Parks and Recreation if you have any additional questions. Today, we will share with you the purpose of this current planning effort, briefly review the history of planning in Wilderness Park and the changes we have seen since the park was first opened, review the goals for the User Experience Master Plan, discuss the mapping efforts and tools for public input at this phase of the plan, have a brief discussion about multi-use trails, look at the signage options that have been developed for Wilderness Park, and share the next steps planned for this effort. The Parks and Recreation Department is leading the effort to develop this new plan with the help of the Lower Platte South NRD, the city's Watershed Management Division, and input from other departments like Lincoln Fire and Rescue. We have also assembled a group of Wilderness Park users that help develop outreach materials, share information with various user groups, and promote the participation of the public in the process. Those individuals are listed on this slide, and we would like to thank them all for the time they have devoted to this master plan and many other past efforts. The primary goal for the Wilderness Park User Experience Master Plan is to develop an annotated map showing future project sites and a prioritized list of those projects. The project will address the experience of visitors to Wilderness Park, how they enter the park, move through the park, and what they see along the way. Projects may include stream crossing improvements, signage, trailhead amenities, and many other improvements. Wilderness Park was established through a cooperative agreement between Lancaster County, who owns most of the park property, and the City of Lincoln, who is tasked with maintaining and operating the park. Shortly after the 1,470 acres of parkland were assembled in the late 1960s, a master plan was developed which showed development of the park into 5 major areas, including day use facilities, hiking and horseback riding trails, bird watching areas, a nature center, research and nursery areas, and an arboretum. This plan envisioned a park that would have been very similar to what we see at the Pioneers Park today. This type of park would have been difficult to construct and maintain in light of the flood regulations that were at that time just beginning to be developed nationally. In 1999, as the city was seeing a great deal of development to the south of Highway 2, many people became concerned with the future of Wilderness Park. There were discussions of an extension of Yankee Hill Road through the park to connect to Highway 77. Development was occurring on the Pine Lake Road area adjacent to the park as well. A sub-area plan was completed in 2000, which envisioned a more naturalized park that functioned as a flood storage area, wildlife habitat, and an oasis of wilderness on the edge of the city. This vision of Wilderness Park is more in keeping with the current community desires, but there have been changes since that time as well. The plans for Yankee Hill Road have now been dropped, and adjacent railroad is now the Jamaica North Trail, and many properties on the edge of Wilderness Park have either been purchased for conservation or had easements purchased to prevent future development. The 2 plans, along with additional planning efforts since 2000, are available for review under the background information heading on the project webpage. In short, circumstances around the park have changed, the desires of park users are evolving, and more people than ever are interested in Wilderness Park. It's time for a new plan. These are the goals for the User Experience Master Plan. They are based on past goals for the park that are still relevant for today, as well as input received through surveys and public activities over the last several years. Provide a user experience that allows visitors to explore wilderness. Increase trail route options available to all users with minimal increase to the overall miles of trails. locate and select capital improvements that provide sustainable access and prioritize protection of natural resources, provide signage that assists in navigation, improves the understanding of park rules and etiquette, and communicates the importance of Wilderness Park to the community. Provide trailheads that are safe, welcoming, and provide useful information and services to park visitors. For more information on how these goals were developed, click on each goal on the project webpage. As part of the update to the master plan, Parks and Recreation is using GPS-enabled units to gather data on current trail and access road locations. This data will be used to update the trail mapping. Updated mapping will be used on all websites and other maps of Wilderness Park when it's completed. We're also using maps to gather data from the public. On the project website, you can enter data into an interactive map of the park. Parks and Recreation would like comments about locations in Wilderness Park that users find particularly important and special, locations that should be preserved and enhanced. We would also like to know about facilities that you feel are missing or needed to be repaired or upgraded. All this information will be used in developing that list of future projects. To access the interactive map on the project website, scroll down to the mapping tool and click on the observation submittal form. Enter your comments, select a location on the map. You can enter as many comments as you like. You're not required to enter your email, but it will help us to be able to contact you directly if we need additional information or clarification. You can also select a composite map with all locations that have been identified by others and review those observation categories. Please note that some browsers support this application better than others. This is a clip of the comment submittal page. First, select an observation topic from the list in the drop-down, or you can enter your own topic area. There is space to enter details of your observations and a place for your contact information to be able to follow up. You can also attach photos. You can zoom in or out onto the map sites and click to select a point. Or if you're in the park, you can select Locate Me, and the application will show the pin at your current location. All points will be aggregated into a composite map and used to help identify future project needs and important areas to the project. One of the questions for which Parks and Recreation is seeking input is that of multi-use trails in Wilderness Park. Multi-use trails are trails that allow all users, bikes, hikers, horses, etc. No motor vehicles, of course, would be allowed. Currently, Wilderness Park signs and maps separate the trails into 3 users, although there are some segments of the trail where bikes and hikers or bikes and horses share the trail for a short area. Although multi-use trails are used in many parks all over the nation and world, there are some challenges to their successful application. These trails work best when all users understand and follow proper trail behavior. They also require all trail facilities are constructed to serve all trail users, and trail maintenance must address the requirements of those users. Multi-use trails do allow all trail users access to all trails in the park. They acknowledge the current reality in Wilderness Park where many users already use trails that are not specifically designated for them. And allowing multi-use opens up miles of trail for everyone without requiring that miles of trail be added to the park. Addressing trail behavior problems can be done with signage, helping users understand proper behavior, or other training tools such as videos and social media, or even ambassador programs where on-trail individuals help others understand proper etiquette. Bringing facilities up to a standard that serves all users may mean some new facilities, particularly stream crossings, would have to be constructed or alternative routes identified. This is of particular concern for equestrian users, as some bridges were not designed to carry those heavy loads. In some cases, secondary routes might use existing sturdier crossings located on the Jamaica North Trail. If all users are allowed, maintenance will have to be done to meet the needs of what is termed the highest user, in this case, horseback riders. While this may mean some additional tree trimming, for the most part, trails in Wilderness Park are already maintained to that standard. Maintenance could also be impacted by the additional tracking caused by some users. The benefits of allowing all users on all trails may also be significant. When all trail users are aware that other user types may be present on the trail, conflicts that sometimes arise when those who do not stay on their properly designated trails should be reduced. Allowing everyone to use all trails effectively triples the trail available to all, increasing route options and opportunities for loops. Since the existing trails are still being used, there would be little impact to the environment caused by new trail construction. And as stated before, most of the trails in Wilderness are already maintained to a sufficient standard for all users. In the survey on the project website, you have an opportunity to weigh in on 3 different options. First, the status quo, leave the trails the way they are. This has the advantage of familiarity and the existing facilities needing no significant change. However, it does not increase trail options for any users. Second, change all trails to multi-use. This would essentially triple the mileage of trail available to all users. However, there would be significant upgrades to some stream crossings needed, and we would have to figure out how to handle horses in the areas along the park where the trail is routed onto the Jamaica North Trail, which currently does not allow horse use. Finally, we could do a mix of those two and this would designate the trails on one side of Salt Creek for all users and limit use to the other side to hike and bike only. This would effectively increase the miles of trail available to all users significantly, and with careful planning may not require new crossings to be built, and we may be able to keep horses almost entirely off the Jamaica North Trail. Please let us know your thoughts by taking the survey on the project webpage. Our final topic for today is the sign plan. Through a process with a group of volunteers, as well as research of several different signage plans used in similar parks, a 3-tiered signage plan has been developed. The plan involves kiosks at each of the 8 trailheads. These kiosks would have map information on one side and information about trail rules, etiquette, navigational tools, and interpretive information on the other. Inside Wilderness Park would be a series of trail markers to assist in navigating the trail system. At entries to Wilderness Park, other than those from trailheads, would be some etiquette and rule information. Trail kiosks located at each of the 8 trailheads will be constructed of the same weathering steel most trail bridges are made from. They will be double-sided and about 7 feet tall, with space on the edge for cutout lettering. The silhouette on top of the kiosks is reminiscent of the shape of the Epworth arches located at 1st and Calvert Street. On one side of the kiosk would be a full-length map of the park with trail designations reflective of the multi-use trail decisions to be made, mileage of each trail segment, park rules and etiquette information, significant features, and each of the trailhead locations. On the other side would be interpretive information, discussed in the next slide, information on how to use the navigational signs in the park, and trail etiquette guidance. Let's take a closer look at the map. This is a close-up of the north end of the park called the day camp area. You can see trailheads shown as TH1, 2 different trails, the red and yellow, points which correspond to intersections and are numbered 1 through 7 on this area, and then the distance between those points in miles. You can also see a bubble calling out a special feature, the covered bridge. Both of the figures shown on this slide are available under the master plan materials on the project website for your closer inspection. On the previous slide, you may have noticed a spot reserved on one of the kiosks, or one side of the kiosk, for a day camp interpretive story. In this space, there's an opportunity to share information about the historical day camp use of this area. There are so many stories to be told of Wilderness Park, its history, inhabitants, and importance to the community. The Trailhead kiosk will allow us to create stories unique to the trailhead where they are located. This is a list of the 8 trailhead locations and some of the stories of Wilderness Park that could be told. The kiosk will present a unique opportunity to travel through the park and visit each trailhead location to get the full story of Wilderness Park. The navigational sign proposed for the park uses a color and shape scheme. These signs would be small, probably 4 to 6 inches across, and could be attached to metal or wooden posts, or possibly directly to tree bark. They would be located only at points where a decision about which direction to take has to be made, at trail intersections primarily, where the numbered points were shown on the previous slide. The colors would correspond to those used on the kiosk trail maps, and a different shape will be used for each color to help those who may not be able to see color as well. The information on each sign can range from a very simple color and shape designation to additional distance and locational information. Along with these signs, it is proposed to add street name signage at those points where the trail travels under or over roadways to help people understand where they are in the park. I'll walk you through 4 different possibilities for this signage. The simplest concept would be to designate which trail you are on, in this case, the red circle trail. With a little more complexity, you could add the distance to the next trailhead, in this case, trailhead 2, which is 3.4 miles away. Incidentally, by turning around and looking at the sign behind you, you can see how far it is to go back. And by looking at the signage on the intersecting trail, you can see how long those distances are and make a decision to go ahead or turn around or take a different, longer or shorter path. Another concept would add numbers corresponding to those points shown on the kiosk map. These numbers could be shown on the navigational signage so that people knew where they were on the map. In the future, paper maps could also reflect these locational numbers. The signs could then have the number as well as the information about distance to the next trailhead. A final alternative would be to have the locational number and distance to the next intersection corresponding to those mileage distances shown on the kiosk trail map. Again, please take the survey and share your thoughts on which way we should go with this navigational signage. The final piece of the signage plan addresses the needs of the park entrances that are not a part of a trailhead. Most of these are entrances into the park from the Jamaican North Trail, but there are other sites as well. This signage would combine some pieces from the kiosks and navigational signage. For instance, a signpost may have the yield signage, a no motor vehicle sign if it's coming from an adjacent roadway, the appropriate navigational sign, and information about what users are allowed. Please return to the project website after this presentation is complete and review the signage materials listed in the project materials as the sign plan summary. You can review the summary of the signage plan, PDFs of the conceptual signage, and the design of the trail kiosk. You can take a survey on the project website and give us your thoughts on navigational sign options, or you can email comments to parks@lincoln.ne.gov. There are 2 opportunities to view mock-ups of some of the signs. On Saturday, August 29th, from 9 to 11 a.m. at the day camp, that's at 1st and Old Van Dorn Street, and on Sunday, September 5th, from 3 to 5 p.m. at the 14th Street Trailhead, which is about 1/2 mile south of Yankee Hill Road. Staff will be on site to take comments and answer questions on both of those days. To wrap things up, all the materials mentioned in this presentation are available by going to the city website, lincoln.ne.gov, and entering the keyword wilderness into the search box. After you have reviewed the materials, there are 4 different ways for you to share your thoughts. First, please go to the mapping activity and tell us about locations you would like to see improvements in the park or places that are special and should be preserved. Next, take the short survey to share your thoughts on multi-use trails and navigational signage. Third, please attend one of the 2 in-park signage reviews and try the navigational signage out for yourself. Finally, you can email comments or questions to parks@lincoln.ne.gov anytime. For our first public input report, we will be collecting comments and survey responses from August 24th through September 14th. Please visit the website to see updates and be informed of future public input opportunities. And thank you for your interest in Wilderness Park.